Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the I Don't Know Running podcast, where we share our experiences that make running fun and sometimes not so fun. I'm Lewis. I'm a self-admitted lazy ultra runner, and I am all about golf course design right now.
Yeah, I noticed that. I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago.
No, did we talk about it on the podcast?
No,
okay.
I just came in and all your stuff was on, and I'm like, what's going on?
What is going on in here?
Playing golf? Yeah, well, I'm Mitch, and Groundhog Marathon is next weekend.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm wearing the shirt, and I'm going to miss it for the first time ever.
This is the 11th year? Or 12th?
No, it's like the 13th or whatever. Yeah.
Really? Oh my gosh. Did we did the 10th anniversary the first year of this, didn't we?
I think so.
I'll bet that's what I'm thinking. Oh my gosh, time flies.
I got a bag and all that fun stuff, but I am not going to be an every year person anymore.
Man, another one bites the dust. They'll be down to like 4
or 5, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Not many. Yeah, I have been heavy in my sim world right now of golf. So no running. I am not going to do Groundhog either. Although I thought about it. I really thought about it.
Here's your chance. You could do it with no training.
Yeah, I am not doing that. I'm telling you right now. We are going to talk today, on today's episode, we're going to talk about, because the last 2 weeks we talked about some high level, how to train for your first marathon.
Mm-hmm.
Should you run a marathon? 100%. Yes. Go out there and do it. If you're a runner, challenge yourself to the next distance. Not from and again, we have said this before, but I want to say this again. We don't say that in an effort to discredit what you're running. If you run 5Ks, awesome. That is superb. Well done. Keep it up. We only say it from a standpoint of like, hey, yeah, go out there and do the next thing.
It's not discounting anything anybody does. This is just what we do. Marathon is my favorite distance. I dabble in ultras once in a while. My body hasn't been letting me do it lately or in a while, but I do want to run an ultra again if I can get it figured out.
I was talking to some people at church this last Sunday, and they're talking about doing Javelina in 2026. And I was like, oh man, that's tempting. That is tempting because a friend was asking about running a 100. And I said, we were chit-chatting back and forth, and he had asked, what one would you recommend? And I said, well, anywhere. And I said, well, of the ones that I have done and the ones that I know about, Javelina, man, that is just an amazing, fun time.
Not necessarily easy.
Well, because of the heat, right?
Because of the heat, but it's not like in the mountains. There's a couple little bumps, but nothing crazy. But during the day, it's exposed.
Very.
So it's different kind of challenge.
Yeah. That is But
I love the landscape out there.
Yeah, it was so much fun. It had one section.
If you go off the trail, it tries to hurt you.
Yeah. Were you with me?
Yeah, you said No.
Was it Jack?
Maybe it was Jack that somebody kicked a cactus or something.
They fell into one. And then she came back, and she had like 3 or 4 of them in her leg. And I was like, oh my gosh.
They're like barbed.
Oh, it was Jack. I think it was Jack. And it was like, oh my goodness. I just felt bad.
Stay on the trail.
Stay on the trail out there. But yeah. And then he invited somebody else. He's like, hey, well, he was talking to somebody else, and they were thinking, well, maybe I'll do that. And when then he said that, we know that couple really well. And man, we were like, that would be fun. Like, I would consider training for another 100 if they went out and did that one.
Again, if you're...
It's a blast. It is a fun race.
If you're following along, I love Arizona. I would move out there if I could.
Nicole and I would too. We like it out there.
If you went, I would definitely crew you again.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun race.
Even on my scooter. I wonder if I could pace you with my scooter.
To hold your leg up?
Yeah.
Well, I hope that you are still not on that scooter in 2026. October.
Me too.
That's not a good surgery. I would not recommend whoever does your surgery to anybody then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, hey, as we get into this episode, if you like what you hear, please subscribe, share, do all of that stuff. Check us out on YouTube if you're just listening to us. And if you're listening to us on YouTube, go check us out on all your podcast listening platforms. But please do share, like, do all of that. On that note, last week we talked about, we finished up our how to train and all of that, run a marathon.
Right.
And we had a little bit of fun with a bingo card. And Chris commented, thank you, Chris, for commenting. He said he really liked the bingo card portion of that. And thank you. Yeah, again, thank you for commenting. Love it. Well, we will come back to that at the end of this podcast. We're going to talk a little bit more on that. And if you missed that, go check it out. Some friends, I believe they were friends of Mitch's.
You could call them friends, I guess.
Acquaintances.
But I think that's how everybody is with me, because
it's in love, I guess.
Everybody likes to give me a hard time.
Yeah. Made a bingo card. I don't want to say at your expense, but
well, it was definitely at my expense, but I just decided to own it.
Yeah.
I'm all right with it.
Go check out the last episode. And if you only listened, go watch the YouTube. When we talk about that section, you'll see the bingo card. We threw it up there. And but let's talk about this episode. Let's talk about what happens if you don't train for a marathon.
Well, I've heard of so many people that have run marathons with zero training. I had a friend that ran in our running group that was challenged. I remember him telling the story. This is years ago. Somebody bet him that he couldn't run a marathon with zero training. He did it. So,
yeah, I guess so. When I saw this kind of come up on the trends and what we were going to talk about, one of the things I thought of, and as you and I talked, you ran a 50K on essentially no training.
Pretty much. I think I got maybe a 5-miler in there before that.
And I thought, well, what does that mean? No training. Because does that mean 2 months of no running? Does that mean 6 months of no running?
When I did that, I'm thinking North Country Trail is in like August or something like that.
Okay.
And I rolled my ankle about 13 or 14 miles in trying to do a 50-miler and ended up having to actually bail. I tried to, a lot of times you fall or do something in the trails and you got to suck it up. Like something hurts. I tried to go to the next aid station and I could hardly walk. When I got a ride to the finish line, that thing swelled up all the way up to my knee. So there was a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was off. I remember I was signed up for Grand Rapids Marathon that year and I actually couldn't run it because of my injury. So that's October. And I did this 50K in December. So I was trying to do something so I could do that 50K and probably shouldn't have.
Probably shouldn't have. So we will say that on the front end of this. Can you do it? Sure. Lots of people have done it. Is it recommended? No, it is not recommended. Mitch, as we just mentioned, ran a 50K. Using the word and term run loosely.
Oh, yeah. It took me like 8 hours.
So that's close to a walking pace.
And that's a hilly course.
Yeah. Can you do it? Yes. Should you do it? No. But what are some reasons that you would do this? That was something you and I had thought about prior to this. Like, so, okay, why would you do it? Well, injury. You just explained. Got injured, already signed up for something, there's a chance you may be doing some of that next year. Now, here, I'm going to say this right now on the podcast. I think it's a bad idea for you to come off injury this year and do a marathon. I'm just going to say that.
I ain't no wimp. Yeah, this I can't do that and risk permanent damage.
No.
So it's different from before, but this time,
yeah,
I kind of know better.
And on that note, that is another reason. I think there are different types of injuries. There are different experience levels that you're at. There are, if you're 20 and coming off an injury is much different than if you are 50 and coming off an injury, or 60 and coming off an injury. So
I have to agree with that. Like, somebody posted at work on our running page or whatever, like we have like almost like a social media for work.
Okay.
Talking about, hadn't been running in a while. And what would you do to get started? I'm having this pain in my leg. Well, I see, and I was like, this is a really young guy.
Oh.
And I didn't say that, but there's a big difference between a young guy trying to get back to running and an old guy getting back to running. For sure.
Definitely. Yeah. So there are different, when we talk about all of this stuff, we're saying ahead of time, there are many different skill sets and levels and experience and all of that with regards to this. But injury, that's one of the reasons you may be forced into running a marathon without any normal amount of training. Another one, you might be challenged. And again, I think age plays a role in making a decision on this.
It might even be better yet, because there's been a lot of people in my life that I've talked into things. Mitch challenged me and he called me a wimp.
Yeah.
It could be that.
Yeah. You might be challenged, or hey, you might just do it on a whim. These are all, and there are many more reasons, I'm sure, why you may run a marathon on no training. Again, don't think it's a great idea. Can you do it? Yes. And there are many different, as we've said already.
I was going to say, my favorite is somebody signed up for something and talked all kinds of.
Oh, yeah.
All kinds about it. Didn't do the training.
Yeah.
And then is in a group of their peers.
Yeah.
Not necessarily challenged, but like, what the heck?
Yeah. You signed up for this. Let's go. Yeah. And we'll get into, I've seen further down. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But on that note, there's a difference between Mitch, you going and running a marathon on quote unquote no training, and Joe Blow, he's in his 40s and he's never run all his life and doing a marathon on no training. That is a huge difference. You have a wealth of experience and knowledge of how to at least approach the marathon. You know what you're going to feel during the marathon. There are a lot of things that you are going to draw upon experience to get you through it. Whereas Joe Blow, or whatever the female version of Joe Blow is, going and trying that as well, they're going to get to mile 18 and think they're dead. There's no possible way I can go another 8 miles.
And I know how to suck it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and you got to know what the difference is of being uncomfortable and when it's actually dangerous too. And
right.
I mean, not all of us really understand that either sometimes, but there's definitely, you have to understand what uncomfortable is.
Yeah. Your body can do a lot more than
you think, but there is a line.
Yeah. And you don't want to cross it. So we jotted down a few things. We're going to talk about, number one, how do you prepare? And by prepare, we don't mean train for 6 months. We mean it's next week or in a week or two.
You already done messed up.
Yeah, you are behind the 8 ball and, lined up for the corner pocket. So how do you prepare? Number one, depending on how much time you have, let's say it's a month, which is still basically no training.
Yeah.
Let's say 3 weeks, whatever, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Get in the amount of miles that you can.
Yeah. Well, there's a big difference too when you talk about that, because there is the whole thing about that gradual buildup. If you try to run a 20 miler, you may as well just run the marathon.
Yeah, you might as well not. Just wait until the day of and run the marathon.
Dumb. You might do it. You may as well just push it out and do the damage that day.
Yeah, but if you have a few weeks, go out there and get a mile in or two or whatever.
Get some actual runs in. Yeah. I mean, I would say no more than 10. I say that loosely,
because I think that's probably pushing it.
That's already pushing it, but you would get a good sense if you're an experienced person. If you're a non-experienced person, I don't know what to tell you, man. You're going to hurt even with 6.
Yeah, get the legs at least moving, those final few weeks leading in. Now that last week, I would say do next to nothing. I mean, you're not going to gain anything, number one.
I do
maybe a mile or two.
15 miles a day before?
No. Yeah, a mile or two leading up to the last 3 days, and I would say take the last 2 or 3 days off. Don't do anything. Get ready. Mm-hmm. Very different. Again, this is very different than if you're prepared. We are saying that.
Well, we're kind of telling you should get prepared.
You should get prepared, 100%. Number 2, prepare yourself mentally and set a goal. So you can do that the day before. You can prepare yourself mentally that, it's going to be a long day. You're not going to go out there and crush a 3-hour marathon. You're not going to go out there and crush, very likely, a 4-hour marathon.
It's good practice to train for an ultra that way, because you just learn that it's going to take a long time, and that's how you prepare for an ultra.
Yes, that's true.
So it'll be good ultra training.
So yes, it is. Yeah, you can prepare. Yeah, this is great training for an ultra to slow you down. Prepare yourself mentally. It's going to be a long day, but set a goal. I would say
most marathons are a 6-hour time.
Yeah, and so set yourself a goal for just that.
Yeah.
Just to finish before that.
You can do that. If you run a little bit, you can easily finish under 6 hours. But you can't walk the whole thing in 6 hours.
Not quite.
You got to run some.
You could do that quick speed walking, I'm sure, but but not just a leisurely walk.
No.
And then I would say this, in that goal setting, set yourself up for running periods, lay out a plan, and save your energy for the end. You are going to need that energy from 18 to 22, 1,000%. You're going to need it there.
And course matters in this case too.
True.
So if it's a hilly course, walk every hill.
Yeah, 100%.
But if it's a flat course, you're going to want to set times, kind of like the whole, like, hey, I'm going to run this far and I'm going to walk a little bit.
Yeah, where do I want to be at mile 5? Where do I want to be at mile 10, 20, and so on? The next thing is food and nutrition prep. Do your best to eat as healthy as you can and as fueling as you can leading into the race. And on top of that, hydrate.
Oh, yeah.
You probably, I don't want to say you can't hydrate enough, but be well hydrated leading into the race. You're going to want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then just one of the things we kind of mentioned a little bit earlier was, having somebody to do it with. If this wasn't one of those, hey, let's sign up for this, and you just didn't do the training, hey, good, you have somebody to do it with. You're not going to keep up with them if they did the training.
Oh, they're going to laugh at you, though.
Yeah.
If it's me, I'm not going to. I'm going to let you have it.
Yeah. But if you didn't sign up with everybody, hey, find some sucker that'll sign up with you. And say, hey, you want to go do this?
Me.
You want to go spend 6 hours walking together, jogging together?
Sure.
Because it will help you. Again, that will help you get to the end. If you don't have the chance to do that, find somebody in the race. Try not to annoy them. And make friends with them and do your best to encourage each other through the race.
And if there's a pace group, they always have a sag wagon pace group. So and they're usually pretty chatty.
Yeah. So let's talk about what's going to happen during the race. There are going to be roughly, I would say, 4-ish segments of the race. And these may vary runner to runner, but you're going to have the intro, the first 5-ish miles or so. Now, if you're a non-runner at all, this may feel like the first half. It might be to 13 miles. This might all feel the same. If you're a runner who just hasn't had a chance to train, you've gotten some experience. Obviously, you kind of have a sense of what this is going to feel like. But it's that first 5 miles, you're going to feel the best that you're going to feel for the next 6 hours, 5 hours, 4.5 hours.
The reality is nobody's going to take our advice in that first 5 miles if they don't know what they're going to do anyway, and they're going to run like crazy. They're not going to set any kind of pace, and they're going to.
That's true. That's true.
And within about 5 miles, they're going to be like, "Whoa, I got nothing left."
Yeah, done. Are we there yet? No. Yeah. So that first 5 miles, ride the wave, but hold yourself back as best you can, because this is the only time you're going to get to enjoy.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast up until then.
Yeah. And then I would say the next, 6 to 13, and honestly, I would say 6 to like 16. The only reason we say 13 is because it's halfway.
Yeah, and that wall is going to come a little bit earlier than what it normally does. So, yeah, I'd say by 16, you're going to hit hard.
Yeah. But when you get to 13, guess what?
You're halfway.
You're halfway. So at least you have that going for you.
Right. And that makes me think, like, make small goals. Like, get halfway and say, okay, I've got halfway. It might seem like, oh, that was hard.
Yeah. Yeah, very true.
It's not really halfway.
And something to keep in mind for those that have never ran a marathon. You're going to get to that point and you're going to think, how can I possibly? Well, don't worry. You can, if you're not being crazy and running, but rather taking it easy, taking it slow, monitoring heart rate. If you have a heart rate monitor it. Don't let it go wild. Keep it low. Keep it zone 2.
And we're capable of more than we think.
Yeah.
But you have to be smart. Like, look at your heart rate monitor.
Yeah. So if you have a heart rate monitor, that's really going to help. Keep it zone 2. You'll be amazed how fast you can go keeping it in zone 2 with a jog walk approach. Then you've got that, wall area. Wherever you hit that wall, it could honestly be 13 because especially if you've never ran.
And it might be a different kind of wall too. Yeah. It's going to be like, my whole body hurts.
Yeah.
How good are you with pain?
Yeah. And until you get past the 20-mile threshold, let's say even closer to 22, it just straight up, it's just going to suck. It's just going to be bad.
But I think that's the spot. I think that you're talking about, anywhere from 13 to 16 to 20 to 22 is going to be the lowest point. I really think, because believe it or not, there is a little hump there, because you got to understand, if you got a 10K to go, you can get that in your head.
Yep.
If you've gone that far, like, okay.
And if you have a 5K, well, it's going to be 23 that you can,
right.
Once you get there,
and
you got
get to 23, I want to say there's no quitting, but if your body is, I've heard of people being severely dehydrated at 23 and have to get off the course. You have to pay attention.
Yeah. And that's even experienced runners
that have done that.
So pay attention to hydration and all the things. Like, you can do a lot of pre-race prep, like know what you have to do without actually getting in the runs, right? So you're stuck in this spot of having to get this done without training. Still do the things that you would normally do. Eat your nutrition, hydrate through the race.
Oh, yeah.
Do all the things you're supposed to do to get to the end. And then the last, 3 to 6 miles, bring it home. At least you have some motivation knowing you are well into single digits now.
Right. And then from that point, what I would do is I would look, and another thing, probably carry water in the first place, but
true.
I would pay attention. I would make aid station to aid station my goal.
Yeah.
And whether you're running or walking between them, I would make that the goal. And I would, if you're running, walk through those aid stations and make sure that you get plenty to drink.
Yeah. Aid stations are a great area. Sorry, I have a cough. A great place to refuel your energy level mentally. A lot of people usually, there's a lot of encouragers usually. This is a place where you might see family, friends, or other people's family and friends. Use that time to get encouraged, get motivated, boost that to carry you 100, 300 yards out of the aid station.
Pick out a complete stranger.
Yeah.
And act like it's somebody you haven't seen in years.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great idea.
Whatever gets you through.
Yeah. Yeah. Use that time. And as we said, things are just going to be bad. You're just going to have to push through those. Again, this is not pushing your limits, but mentally, things are going to be bad. Now, if the heart rate is 180, pay attention to that. You're probably going to have to stop. You've overdone it. You're going to have to stop. But mentally, this is all mentally. We're pushing ourselves mentally. And then you get to the finish. And now?
Yeah, well, I would say, if maybe wait until 100 feet from the finish line and then run
Sprint.
it in. Then run it in like you've been booking the whole time.
Yeah.
Fake it at that point.
Yeah.
It's going to, fake it, smile, because Early's taking pictures, smile for the camera.
Yeah. And
if Rudy's there, he would like to see something uncomfortable on your face, but don't give him that satisfaction.
No, don't throw up, although he'd really like to get one of those.
Yeah.
And what you can do when you get to the finish, you get to that last, you save up your energy. And then what you can do is come alongside somebody and act like you were pacing them through the whole thing, like you were supposed to be there.
I like that idea.
Put a smile on, encourage you. Come on, Sue, you got this.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
We did it.
I held back for you.
Yeah.
Fake it.
And then you get across the finish line. Just enjoy the fact that you just accomplished something very, very amazing, albeit probably not how you want to, probably not the way you want to feel. But it is a very major accomplishment just to get through a marathon.
Oh, yeah.
It is a big deal.
And eat all of the snacks.
Yeah, there's usually some nice free food, although I feel like over the last 10 years, that has really went downhill. It's not what it used to be.
There are a few marathons that still have a really good finish line. I think Grand Rapids still has a good finish line. I think there are, the ones that have chocolate milk are my favorite.
Chocolate milk and hot dogs.
Hot dogs
if you have hot dogs, love it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Is Grand Rapids, do they still have them or no?
Yeah, they do. They have hot dogs at the finish.
It is the best. That is a great post-race snack.
Eat like 6 of those.
Yes.
Good to
Fuel
go.
you right up. And then go home. Do not just sit around on the couch. Move. I will say that. One of the biggest mistakes that I made, my wife and I made after our first big runs, like even the half marathon, was going home and sitting thinking, take a load off. I just, and oh my gosh, that will wreck you for days. But if you, because usually these are in the morning, complete your race, get out of there at noonish, whatever.
If you run with no training, it might be in the afternoon.
Well, all right. So yeah, you might not finish until afternoon, as in 2. But don't go home and just take a load off. Go home and walk. Go out if you can. Obviously, there are some things but try to move. Try to move around for the next day as much as you can, and it will help your muscles.
And wear the medal. And then anytime, just make sure you insert that anywhere. I ran a marathon today.
Tell everybody you can for next week.
Tell everybody. Call all your friends and say you didn't think I could do it. And I did.
Here, let me send you a picture of my medal.
Yeah. A picture of me holding on to my medal.
Yeah. So can you do it? Yes. Should you do it? No. I mean, it's not the best. But hey, if you're stuck in a spot, hopefully this helps you get through.
You do you.
You do you. Well, next week, we are going to talk about some of the excuses that might land you in this spot.
Yeah.
And we're going to provide a bingo card for you to keep track of your friends' excuses.
Yeah. Whether you tell them about it or not, and then you yell bingo when they come up with the next excuse.
Oh, man. Well, hopefully that is in person and not through a text, because it's way more fun in person.
Oh, yeah. You want to see their eyes.
Yes. But yeah, that is going to wrap up this week's episode of the I Don't Know Running podcast. Be sure to tune in next time as we share more about what we just don't know.
Until then, happy running.